Hey guys, welcome to my channel. This is the first video in a series in which I intend to build a sample GitHub API client and have it running on a different type of application, ranging from simple console apps to a web app, a mobile one, and even on an IoT device like the Raspberry Pi. The key here is that I want to reuse as much code as possible, and I'll show you guys how to do that. This series of videos is targeted mostly at people who have a programming background and are curious about .NET Core. In other words, if you're completely new to programming, this might not be the video for you. But if you're looking to learn something new, expand your current skill set, or you're a .NET dev who's wondering what .NET Core can do for you, then you're in the right place. So, I'll try to keep each video in this series under 10 minutes long, packed with meaningful content. This means that I'll have to fast forward over the sections where I'm writing code. You don't need to see my typos in real time anyway, but don't worry, because I'll do a walkthrough of the code at the end of each clip. All the code that I'll write in this series will be publicly available on GitHub, so you can find the GitHub link in the video description below. I also avoid talking about common topics. You can find that info pretty much everywhere else. I want to show you guys actual experience of developing apps on .NET Core with the good, the bad, and the ugly. So, let's get started. First, we install .NET Core, open your browser, and type in get.net. Then click on the first link that shows up, usually the right one. Now, on the .NET site, you'll see that it has support for Windows, Linux, Mac, and Docker. Yep, you heard it right, Docker. .NET Core is truly cross-platform, and it can also run on Docker, so that means that everything that you develop is and can be Dockerized, which is great. I'm going to install for Windows, so you have two options. You can either install it with Visual Studio, or you can install it to run on the command line. From the command line, just click on the download.NET Core 1.1 SDK. And for Visual Studio, which is the preferred way that I want to do it on Windows, just download the latest community edition of Visual Studio, and also make sure to get the tooling. Visual Studio is free, at least the community edition is, but it covers 90% of the use cases you possibly need. I have already installed .NET Core on my machine, so it's easy, just next. So let's first create some applications. In order to use .NET from the command line, you have to type in, open command prompt and type in .NET help. That should show sort of a welcome or usage of the .NET CLI, and also make sure that you have installed the .NET and the tooling preview. Then, if you want to create an application from the command line, just cd into your work folder and type in .NET new. Now, .NET supports multiple project types, so if you want to see all the project types that it supports, just add a -t and type in something. And you'll see that it has support for console, web, library, or a XUnit test project. So we're going to create a console application. Let's make a folder. Name it whatever you want, and after that just add cd into the folder and type in .NET new -t console, and this is going to create a console project. From our project directory, we can see that it has two files. So it's a program.cs and a project.json. Project.json is our project definition file. So let's open Visual Studio Code and see exactly what these files contain. Okay, so if you open project.json in Visual Studio Code, you're going to see that it's a JSON file which includes the framework that the application is going to use. In this case, we're going to use .NET Core version 1.1, and .NET Core App 1.1 is the moniker for the .NET framework. Then Visual Studio is going to ask if you want to restore the packages for the solution. The same can be done with running .NET Restore from the command line. It's installing the NuGet packages for your project, and it's generating the project.log.json file. If you open that up, you're going to see everything that .NET Core requires in order to run your console application. So everything with the system these are NuGet packages. So .NET Core is entirely run from NuGet. Now, let's open the program.cs file, and you can see that the template generated a simple console write line statement for us. You can run this with F5. It's going to compile, And in the terminal, you're going to see that compilation succeeded. And there you can see Hello World from .NET Core. The same can be done from the command line if you type in just .NET Run. Also, with Visual Studio Code, you can do a full debug of the application, pretty similar to what you can see in Visual Studio. And as you can see, you also have support for IntelliSense. This is done via the OmniSharp plugin, which is installed. Is not installed with Visual Studio Code initially, but when you first open a C# project in Visual Studio, it's going to ask if you want to install this project. And it's very similar. The experience is pretty similar to what you get in Visual Studio. As you can see, if you want to see the folder structure now of your application, you're going to see that after it compiled, it created the bin and the obj directories where the code of the compiled code of our application resides. So you can also just say .NET Run, and you can see that it's running from the command line. Now on Windows, my preferred way of developing .NET applications is with Visual Studio. So let's open Visual Studio and go to File, New Project. From the New Project window, make sure that you have .NET Core selected and also select Console Application, not like I did here and left Class Library. Then go to Browse and create a directory where you're going to save your solution. Name it whatever you want. Then you have to name your project. I'm going to name it .NetInTen Console. And optionally name the solution. I tend to use a different name. Make sure that you have create directory for solution selected and hit OK. This is now going to create our project on the console application template, which is similar to what we did in VS Code. Okay, so this is our new console application. Visual Studio automatically is restoring the NuGet packages. No need to run .NET Restore. And as you can see, the template is pretty similar. We still have the program CS. In addition, we have this solution item with a global JSON. I'm going to explain that also and later. And the code is inside the SRC folder. Now, we also have the project JSON. So in our application, if we go in and type console.writeLine, and we can also input the string. Then we're adding a new console.readLine. Now let's build this. And we can see that it's running exactly as it was running from the console or from Visual Studio Code. So as you can see, the experience is pretty similar, either if you're using the command line Visual Studio Code or Visual Studio IDE. From considering the way I like it and the fact that I'm mainly a .NET developer, I tend to favor Visual Studio IDE because I spend 8 hours a day or 10 hours a day on it. But you can fully develop everything that I'm going to build in this series on Visual Studio Code on a Mac or on Linux. So that's pretty much it for this first video. If you guys will come back and look at the second part, in the second part of the video, I'm going to build a simple class library in .NET Core, which is going to consume the GitHub API. So we're going to build an API client that's going to sit in a class library, which we're going to reuse along the rest of our applications. That's it. Thanks all for watching. Hope you'll get back. Bye.